Well, kia ora to you all. Mish and I couldn't let this day go by without saying a few special words. And while it hurts us beyond imagination not to be there in person, the very next best thing we think we could do is send you this message of love from us back home here in Aotearoa. So, um, to all of you that are gathered here today, and those joining in by social media, thank you. Thank you for the guidance and the support and the love that you've shown Zac and Tay to get them to this point in their lives. And I want to particularly shout out to Zac's adopted American family over there, to Kevin and Holly and all the coaches and friends and church people and footy mates that have helped make Zac's life so rich and rewarding over the last 5 years in America. We really appreciate it and hope that in some time in the future we can return some warmth and hospitality to you all on this side of the world. So many of you gathered there will no doubt know a fair bit about Tay, but maybe not so much about this strange fella that orbited into your world about 5 years ago with a funny accent. So I'm here as Zac's dad to just give you a little bit more insight into who this young man is. The truth is, when Zac stepped off the plane into your world, and you were blessed over there, we lost a little bit of colour back home on that day here in Aotearoa. And there's not really a day that goes by that is Zac's dad. I don't miss this amazing young man. But such is the way for all parents as we send our beautiful sons and daughters off to find their place in this world. And look today how that's blossomed and grown and sown into something so rich, with a whole new network of friends and family, which is a blessing to all of us. So a little bit about young Zac as a lad. Zac's first words when he was 8 months old were dada, and since then I've been really blessed, and Zac and I have been blessed to have this amazing dad-lad relationship. Zac was born on New Year's Eve back in '97 in Sydney, Australia, this precious little bundle. And as an early childhood memory, I remember my first chance being entrusted with him as his dad, and I took him on a walk in a buggy down into Australia's Royal National Park, and we were sitting there amongst these huge big gum trees and these beautiful squawking colourful lorikeets, and Zac was just lying around on the grass, and he sort of looked round, and almost for a moment it was as if he dawned on what a big, wide, scary world it was that he had entered, and he started to cry. And I picked him up and comforted him. And I reflect back on that time now, because that same world that was so scary back then is one that excites and ignites the young man that you have before you today. Growing up, of course, we had face paints and fairs and piggyback and shoulder rides. And of course, a favourite childhood memory was when Dad came home from work and we went on bear hunts, and our living room, in the eyes of this 3-year-old young lad, were magically transformed into this child's labyrinth of big forests and muddy trails, and of course a cave with a very big scary bear in it. So in those early days, Twinkie, Winky and Lala was Zac's favourite Teletubbies. Teddy was his best mate. And we had lots of wonderful, beautiful childhood memories. In the summer, eating those scrummy, yummy, forever runny New Zealand ice creams that you couldn't just lick fast enough to keep the cone all intact without it sort of dribbling all over you. And I remember those days with great fondness, son. And as you grew, and as a journalist, son of a journalist, Zac was sort of nurtured into writing, and many of you will know he's got a great writing bent and a wonderful talent there. And I know one of the favourite games we used to play in Zac's childhood was where I'd start a story in the car, and Zac and his brothers would have to take a line each and keep the story going. So through all of those young years, as Zac grew, our adventures grew, and being blessed to live in this amazing pristine wilderness of Aotearoa, our adventures just got bigger and better, really. Hiking and hunting trips, surf safaris, ski trips, fishing adventures, and of course endless wilderness trail runs. And it would take nothing to convince either Zac or I to disappear in a moment's notice off into the mountains for a couple of hours to lose ourselves and earth ourselves in this beautiful wilderness. I know there's plenty of soccer players, or football players, as we call it over here in the room. And for you guys and girls, I had the pleasure of coaching Zac for many years and also playing alongside him in senior footy. And you may recognise in Zac some of the mantras that I used to share as his coach. It's the man in the mirror that really matters. If you no pain, no gain, if you train in the rain, that's when you get better, because your competitors won't. Just fight till the very last second and then fight some more. So those sort of those war cries, I guess they were back then for a young mind, nurtured Zac, and when he was 17, he was blessed to be voted by his peers as head boy at Nelson College. A very proud moment for us as his family. That's New Zealand's oldest secondary school, 1,000 pupils, and birthplace of rugby in Aotearoa. So as the years, so here we are today, and reflecting on this amazing, loving young man that sits before us today, I'm incredibly proud of you, Zac, and I just want to share a few things that I notice in you as your dad. I love your fierce warrior mindset with a gentle heart. I greatly admire your belief that anything's possible if you just dare to dream. That you are this wonderful light soul that can warm a room and quickly make those around you feel at ease. The natural born leader that God's blessed you to be. That you can inspire and encourage others to do more, be more, and dream more than they ever dared possible. Zac, you've got a beautiful, big, strong heart, yet it's still gentle enough to cry when touched by the hardness of this world. And an amazing, strong faith in God, which drives you to find your very best self, and to find that in those around you. So that's some things I just absolutely love about you, Zac. And to you, Tay, of course, here's Zac rumbling along, this wild Kiwi boy, and then suddenly stopped in his tracks by this beautiful young Tay as you entered his world. And I remember very fondly Zac's grandpa and I coming out there 2 years ago and enjoying a wonderful time meeting you in person and your family, and you were every bit as beautiful as Zac described, and Granddad and I quickly fell in love with you. And whenever we went out, Granddad in particular, he would give you all the attention and just completely ignore Zac and I, which is pretty understandable. and then you came out and you met us here, and over those, and to see what Zac's life was like here in New Zealand, and what his, learn a bit more about his world. And I know we you survived a couple of clumsy incidents from me where I spilt water on you in the diner, and uh, almost knocked you out with a water bottle on one of our hikes. You remember that, eh?
I do.
Anyway, how you handled yourself with all those adventures and crazy moments was just amazing, Tay. And I could see in you the same big, kind heart that Zac has, and could see that you're a beautiful match for each other. And God has clearly brought you together, and in time, His amazing purpose will be revealed. So to finish, Zac and Tay, all the very best for the future. To you, Zac, I just want to say Tay will be your greatest heaven, earthly gift. And I want to say to you that if you think you're putting a bit more in this relationship than Tay, you're probably getting it about right. To adore her, to love her, to cherish her, so she can be everything that God intended. You're both ready for this beautiful, wonderful, crazy new adventure in life, and we want you to enter that with the full blessing of all of your family back here in New Zealand. With much love.